or more. Time over there. There's hair in my coffee. I don't want that. You know whose it isn't? It's not mine. It's cat hair. Oh, all right. Ooh, back's a little tight. Ooh, I know the side. Where's the side? Oh, three, two, one. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today is Tuesday, October 8th, 2019. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. The official first cup mug is in the dishwasher, hence not using it. I used it all last week, just rinsed it out. Used it yesterday, just rinsed it out. Decided, you know what? It's time to clean it. I mean, it's coffee, but still. You should clean things once in a while. Right? Still blown away with all the plants inside, all that's going on. Yeah, so yesterday was a good day. It was a busy day. Had some good stuff happen. Conducted an interview that I mentioned yesterday, I hinted at, with someone that, just bottom line, I don't think I ever expected them to come on the show. This person is someone who is well known, who's had a few different stages. Zuza, you're fine. My cat has dementia. It's not fun. So this person has had a few stages to their martial arts career, is a very public figure. On television. I don't think he's been in movies. But we had a great conversation, a lengthy conversation. And that should be out in a few weeks. So when it comes out, you'll know about it. Yesterday's episode with Master Ian Armstrong, great feedback already. Check that one out if you haven't. Come here. Come here. You're fine. If I don't acknowledge her, she's going to keep being annoying. And it's hard for me to focus with a cat being annoying. What's going on today? Couple meetings. I got through a ton of email yesterday. That was great. What else? That's all I got. Email, meetings. I have an interview today with somebody. I have to shave. I'm feeling scruffy. It's kind of the heart of it. Let's get into these questions. If you want to ask me a question, drop it below. I'll answer it tomorrow. So I'm hearing that yesterday was also World Bullying Prevention Day. What are we getting right as a nation about bullying prevention? We're acknowledging that there's a problem. We're acknowledging that it's impactful. We're acknowledging that online bullying adds a dynamic that is less understood, newer, and still impactful. Just because you're not getting shoved in a locker doesn't mean it's not bullying. So I think we're doing some good stuff on that. We're having conversations about it. We're having greater conversations about it. We're talking about prevention, and it's no longer an afterthought. When I was a kid, it was an afterthought. It was, don't bully people. Done. But the definition of bullying was really subjective. And even a bit narrow. Pretty much had to be physical. Almost had to be assault. It was like, in order And that's one of the things that's really interesting about public schools or really schools is that a child can assault another child. It would completely satisfy the legal definition of assault. Um, they could, if they were adults, they would have time in prison. And yet a school will dismiss it. Just say, oh, it's not a big deal. And that's so backwards to me. In so many ways, we hold children to higher standards. We expect them to follow the rules because they're in school, and that's part of what you learn in school is following rules, right? But it is what it is. It's getting better, I think. What are we getting wrong as a nation about bullying prevention? We're spending far too much time on one end of the spectrum. Because everyone understands that, you know what, if a group of kids grabs a kid's backpack, kicks him in the knees, shoves him in a locker, and pours milk on his head, that's bullying. Because we don't spend any time discussing that, we're not working on that. And yet that's the stuff that's most important. The stuff that we're spending all this time talking about is the stuff that people disagree on. Let's say the less impactful side of the spectrum, the name calling, the you're fat, you're stupid, that stuff. Now, here's why. Here's why I think that we are spending too much time on that. If we attempt to create this perfect utopia in school and educate children in that way, if we keep them so safe that they don't develop the coping mechanisms, the tools to learn what it's like to have people criticize them and be unfair and mean, they're not going to have them as they become adults. I've had people bully me as an adult. I've had martial artists bully me as an adult in the last week. I don't mean I was assaulted and humiliated. I mean that by that definition, the lighter end of the spectrum definition, it's happened. And it continues to happen. And the reason I don't fall apart is because I learned how to deal with it. Do I like it? No. Would I rather it not happen? Of course. But I'm glad I had those experiences as a child to develop the skills to handle it as an adult. And the more we try to insulate children, the less they get that opportunity. Now, I'm not saying we allow everything. I am absolutely not saying that. And I'm not saying that words aren't impactful. I'm saying that there's a line. And we all draw the line differently. But we can't draw the line at an extreme. We can't get rid of everything that anyone considers bullying, because part of what some people consider bullying is human nature. It's part of being part of a species that has social structure. If you look at a lot of animals that have social structure, some will pick on others. They'll gang up on weaker ones. Is it sad? Yes. Would I prefer it not happen? Absolutely. But it is hard-coded genetically. And we need to recognize that if we're not going to be able to exterminate that across our entire life, throughout society, that we have to develop the skills to face it. It's the reason we do self-defense in martial arts. Not because everybody's beating on everybody all the time, but because it can and does happen, and you might as well have some skill to face it. It's about being prepared for it. We've had a few guests on Martial Arts Radio who've talked about bullying a lot. I've been... No, we're not going there. Is there anything else we're getting wrong? I think those are the two big things. Dealing with the extremes, the lighter extreme primarily, and having this idea that we can get rid of all bullying. As martial artists, what should we do when we see bullying? Depends on the kind of bullying. If you see someone being assaulted and you have the safe-ish opportunity to interrupt that, whether that be through physical means or letting people know that there are others observing, whatever it is. That's a whole other conversation we're not getting into. But if you have that opportunity, you should take that opportunity. If I see a group of kids picking on another kid, I'm going to go stand up for that kid. I'm going to stand with him or take her to lunch or make fun of the other kid's back. Pretty good at coming up with some insults. I don't mind making fun of children. You know? I know what it's like. And I know I'm not quite sure how to put this into words. I've known people who reach their threshold. And because you never know what someone's limits are, sometimes you have to assume that they're at the edge and give them the compassion that warrants. The big thing that we get wrong in society that affects bullying and affects everything else is we think that we don't have power. We think that we don't have the ability to change people's lives, including our own. And so when we see something happening that is unfortunate, we ignore it. We observe it. It becomes spectacle. Instead of recognizing that we have the ability to have some sort of impact. We've become this all or nothing society. We've got this huge line drawn down the middle of every single subject, every single dichotomy that could exist, and there's no more room for gray area. There's no more room for moderate thought on anything. Because I can't solve world hunger, it seems to mean that I can't, contribute a few cans or a few dollars to my local food shelf. If I can't stop everybody from being bullied, I can't speak up for the kid on the corner getting poked at by a couple other kids from school. And I reject that. Every one of us has the ability to make an impact. And whether it's bullying or anything else, the only reason, let me say it this way, the reason the world is the way it is because we have created it. Whether or not you feel you're personally responsible, you're still a human being, you're still alive. You're still part of the we. You can reject that responsibility, but you can't reject the fact that you have an opportunity. Maybe it's a small one, but it's still there. Are you taking it? That's what whistlekick is for me. It's my opportunity to try to do something. It's the reason I've invested literally every single dollar I have, and quite a few that I don't, because I see it as my best opportunity to help the world. So I'm taking it. I don't know if it's going to work. It's been a rough go, but I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to do it until I no longer can. Well, this took an interesting turn. Your homework today is to find one opportunity to do one thing. Thank you, Stacy. Find one opportunity to do one thing that helps anything. It could be a person. It could be a group of people. But it has to be something that isn't your job. It has to be something that's not your responsibility. I'm using air quotes. Do something to move the world forward in the smallest measurable way. As you can tell, this is a subject I'm passionate about. If you have questions for me, drop them below. I will answer them tomorrow. I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Don't forget, subscribe, turn on notifications. We do this show every weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. And you can catch it later in your podcast app as an audio show. Take care. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Peace.